Let's get it.
Well, I should just be the devil I think I am now.
Now, you know when he did that, it sounded way cooler in his head. That's why you gotta be careful. You're like, I wish I would have said it, because it sounds way cooler in your head. But when you say it, you sound like a dumbass. I should just be the devil I think I am. No. How about you just be a normal person? Now, I can make the argument, and I'm going to make the argument, that no matter what Kody tries to say, no matter how bad he tries to feel for himself, no matter how he tries to stir this up so that it's somebody else's fault, rubber meets the road. My man, this is your responsibility. As I've said before in previous videos, and as our parents told us when we were kids, the only thing you truly have power over is how you approach things, how you take things, what you do about it. Now, granted, some people will get on this thing and say, well, you know, divorce is a hard thing. His relationship has changed and he's going through all kinds of changes and he has the right to be upset. I'm not saying he doesn't have the right to be upset. I'm not saying he doesn't have the right to be hurt. I'm not saying that he shouldn't feel like he is losing or missing out on something because these people have decided to no longer be part of his life. However, what I am saying is no matter how badly or how poorly somebody treats you, it does not give you the right to treat other people poorly. That's just a personal motto thing. That's more indicative of who you are. And as I've watched this series and I've watched the Sister Wives, like I said, I did the retrospective from season 1 and I binge watched a lot of it. I'm up to season 13, 14 now, and I started watching it season 16, so I'm just merely catching up to where I was. As I'm watching this, I can tell you now, you've always been this way. You've always been the selfish guy. When your daughters are going away and they have problems, medical problems, and you can sit there and look your daughter in the face and be like, oh, well, it's your mom's fault I'm not going because she didn't follow the COVID rules. Good luck with your back surgery. You are the devil. When you have an argument or disagreement with your sons over Janelle's house because you're spending too much time with your fourth wife and her kids and your stepkids or your adoptive kids, and you don't pay any attention to the kids that you raised since they were children, since they were babies, and you don't make time to go see them, and so you get in a disagreement with them, and then you fail to call your daughter on the holidays. And this is around the same time you're taking your adoptive daughter, which no shade on the fact that you adopted a child or the fact that you're caring for your stepchild. That should happen. But when you're neglecting your own flesh and blood and you're taking your adoptive daughter to go film and get her ears pierced and how it's a special moment, a special time, and you have a daughter who is about the same age that you don't even bother calling, then my friend, you already the devil. You don't have to do the whole Clint Eastwood thing. You just say, now people are just seeing me for what I am. That's where you are. Now, before we get into this, because I brought a lot of receipts, and you know, that's what I do, and I want to make a lot of points. I first want to ask that if you guys are getting anything from the content, that you consider giving me that thumbs up. That lets me know that you're digging what I'm doing, you're liking and approving the material I'm putting out, and you want to see more. Also, if you guys are not yet subscribed, what are you doing? For a limited time offer, you can subscribe for free. It's easy to do. It helps the channel out. It helps me out. Hey, who doesn't want to help a brother out? So go ahead and hit that HBO special, which stands for Help a Brother Out Special. Subscribe down below. Ring the bell for notifications, and you will be notified when I upload new material as well as when I go live. And we're going to have deeper conversations as we do that. Now, let's get it. The first things first. When you talk about like how he's been treating this whole issue between Janelle and Christine, the one thing that has always struck me about Kody and his arguments when he talks to these ladies, he always yells and screams and hoops and hollers and talks to them about how they're not taking accountability, how they're failing to be responsible for their actions, how they don't understand that situations and actions have consequences, and that these ladies are refusing to accept the consequences of their actions. And the whole time I've been watching this series, I've seen him lie, obfuscate. I've seen him try to gaslight. I've seen him try to manipulate. And I've seen him try to push responsibility onto everybody else but him. I have never seen a situation where Kody has actually manned up. And yes, I'm going to say that he's never manned up and taken responsibility for the things that he's done and his hands. When things go wrong, he doesn't take responsibility for his hand in the thing going wrong. He'll make decisions for the family, then turn around and ask the family, guys, what are we going to do? And when the family's like, what do you mean what we're going to do? You said that this is the plan. You said you had it all figured out. What you mean what we're going to do? He turns around and says, I don't know why you guys are yelling at me. I'm just sitting there trying to ask a question. Are you serious? This is you not taking responsibility. This is you not being accountable for your actions. This is you getting mad at these women and so-called punishing them for their bad behavior because you don't approve of the things that they do. And that, my friend, is what makes you the devil. The devil is in the details, and the details show me that you yourself are not willing to take responsibility for your own actions. You expect the world to bow down and serve you. And I don't know who raised you, and I'm not going to criticize your mom because your mom actually seems like a decent person. And your dad, I didn't really see him a whole lot. I know he passed. I don't know what kind of man he was. But I'm going to tell you something that maybe you missed when these kindly folks were trying to instruct you when you were a child. The world does not revolve around you. There are other people on this planet, other people who have hopes, dreams, and desires, other people who have needs. And instead of you always trying to figure out how these people can meet your needs, you should be trying to figure out how you can service others. And especially when you're trying to take on a leadership position, come on, man, who are you leading? Who are you leading if you are not willing to take responsibility for the decisions that you make? You decided to sit over at Robin's house. Christine didn't decide that. You decided to neglect her kids. You decided to abandon your family for the things that made you happy. And now you want to sit here and sing the blues about how everybody is mistreating you. When I was a kid and I was in high school, there was I had a teacher named Father Murphy. And one of the things that Father Murphy said to us on the first day, he basically said two things. I'll never forget it. He said, look, we can settle this like men, or we can go ahead and write the merits. And then when everybody made the decision because of the merit, they send a letter home to your parents. You get too many of them, you can get in trouble. But you settle it like men, it was corporal punishment in the classroom, whatever. And the thing is, everybody agreed to it, right? And then Father Murphy, when he punished you or when he gave discipline, he would always say the same thing. You rolled the bones and you lost. Now you want to cry the blues because you picked up the bones, you rolled the bones, and you lost. You rolled the dice, you crapped out. And that taught us a lot because it taught us to be accountable for the stuff that we decide to do and the stuff we decide to participate in and be a part of. So when you make decisions, you're picking the bones up and you decide whether you're going to roll them or participate in something or not. And you can't be mad at other people because it didn't work out for you. And that's where we find Kody at. And that's one of the things that I think is just so disheartening about the whole situation. And as he's sitting here talking about his temptation, because we'll get into that in a minute, as he sits here and talks about his temptation, I always want you guys to think about the idea that maybe this is him battling his true nature. Let's take a listen.
And there's this urge that I'm seriously fighting. It's like deep in me.
Deep.
It's ugly. It's sinister. And that's the wolf you want to starve. But that urge to do it, to just be mean as hell, just has gotten in me. And it's a fight.
And that's the whole thing. It's a fight. Oh, it's so mean. And this is the kind of stuff, like I said, it sounds cool. It sounds like you're struggling. It sounds like you're having a hard way to go and you're really trying to work things out. But the truth of the matter is that for me, it's revelatory. This tells me when you're saying that you're struggling to do the right thing, you're struggling to be a good person, the only people who struggle to do the right thing are people who are wrong. The only people who struggle to be good people are people who are bad people. Those are people who struggle to do the right thing. If you go into a store and you have to struggle not to steal shit, you're a thief. Okay? I'm struggling. I'm doing the best I can. Look at all this stuff. They just left the candy up front by the registers. It's so easy. I can just snatch up all I want and I can run out the door. You are a thief. Okay? It shouldn't be a struggle. I don't struggle going in the store not stealing. One of the things that's funny to me is that when I walk down the street, right, I had an argument or disagreement with somebody not too long ago. I'm standing in the supermarket and I see him. I don't even see him. They speak to me. I try to be a smartass. Hey, James, how you doing? I look over, hey, how are you? Without even thinking about it. You know why? Because that's who I am. I'm one of those people that will speak to you every time I see you. If I see you, I'll acknowledge you. So I wound up speaking to people 3 or 4 times. Hey, how you doing? Hey, what's going on? All right, now, I see you. Okay. Because it's just in me. Like, it doesn't really mean a whole lot to me. It's just a way for me to acknowledge people. And it's just something I got in the habit of when I was a young person. Now, if anything, it would be a struggle for me to not to speak to people. Like, I've had that situation too. I'm supposed to be mad at somebody. I'm never going to talk to them ever again. Hey, James. Hey, what's up? Ah, damn it. I've been there before. You know what I mean? Said I'm never going to speak to them. And I just did it. I can't believe I just did that. All right, man. I'll see you later. All right, man. I'll talk to you. That's just who I am. And you will be who you are. So if you're struggling to try to figure out how you're not going to be that evil person, then my friend, you need to check yourself and you need to check where you are. Now, I'm not saying that people don't have things where they go through certain emotions and you're always the same at all times. I'm just merely saying that if it's that much of a struggle for you to reach out to your children, especially kids who have nothing to do with anything that you're talking about, then that's in you. It's easier for you to let them go. There's also that point where you like looking at Mary, looking at Christine, looking at Janelle. Why go somewhere where you're not appreciated? Why not spend your time amongst people who are happier there and you can be celebrated? When Christine shows up, you roll your eyes. When Mary shows up, you suck your teeth. When Janelle comes in, you barely notice that she's in the damn room. But then all of a sudden, they're talking about they don't want to come around no more. They want to leave. Now all of a sudden, it's, oh my gosh, I can't believe they don't want to come around, spend time with me. Oh my goodness. Look, it is what it is. This is what you've asked for this whole time. Now, one of the funny things to me is that Kody had an opportunity to have Mary's brother-in-law, who is Kody's supposed best friend, come down to the show and he gives his perspective. And one of the things that really stuck out to me when he was talking about Kody and Kody's situation is this.
Till you've sat in the seat and, been a guy that's had 4 wives and tried to meet the emotional, spiritual, physical, mental needs of 4 women, it's like, there's a hubris that comes with judgment.
There's a hubris that comes with judgment. I know, bruh. See, the thing is, here's what's funny to me. I don't think I'm better than anybody. I genuinely don't. I don't think I'm better than Kody. I don't think I'm better than this guy. You guys are going through divorces and you guys are sitting there saying that I don't understand what it's like to have multiple women depend on you and rely on you. And so therefore I shouldn't be allowed to comment on the fact that you guys had this situation and I don't know what it's like to be in this situation. Here's the thing. I don't have to experience bad things for me to decide for myself that this is something that I don't want to do. How about that? I don't have to jump off of a building with no parachute to realize, hey, maybe I don't want to do that. I don't have to go down to Mexico, get on a boat, and then look at a rickety-ass cage and watch these guys dump buckets of blood in the water. And then I'm looking at between the cage and the winch that looks like it was like pre-World War I. And I decide to crawl my ass in that cage and get knocked down 47 meters. I don't have to do that in order for me to realize that this is something that is not a good idea. For me, the idea that I'm going to marry 4 women and try to entertain, occupy, and capture their minds, hearts, imaginations, their time, and be able to fulfill them 100% is something that I know that I will not be able to do. I will not be successful in it. Because when I look at somebody to be my partner, I like to invest 100% into that person, into that union. I like to put everything I have where it is. As people say, when you talk about rolling the bones and you talk about gambling, as they say in poker, I like to go all in. I don't want to sit there and give somebody this and then have to try to do it over and over and over again. Because the secret to the sauce is simply this. You guys don't have just a logic problem. You guys have a basic, simple math problem. You can't give 100% to 4 people. You can give 25%, 25%, 25%, and 25% if you keep it equal, but you can never give them 100%. Now, if you give 100% to Robin, say, then you're giving 0% to the other 3. It's a math problem. You can't give 100. You can't break your time up and say, I'm going to give 100% of my time to 4 different people in 4 different locations. Unless you've mastered the ability to be in 2 places at once, you will fail. So the idea that somehow we can't make judgment calls or common sense judgment calls on what he's doing and how he's conducting these relationships, and more importantly, why these relationships are failing, then my friend, you are lacking. You're lacking imagination, and you're lacking the ability to understand just basic human nature and, dare I say, human emotion, how people deal with things. If you don't understand that, then there's no, I'm not even going to go there, bro. I'm not even going to go there on you. I'm not going to say nothing about your personal business. All right? I'm just simply going to say that you should consider other people's situation. And more to the point, you should do what my parents have told me when I was a kid. Learn from other people's mistakes. If you can't decide that this is something that's not a good idea, then you have no hope in learning from other people's mistakes. Because part of you learning from other people's mistakes is realizing when something's a good idea, when something's a bad idea. Simply put. And as we go through how Kody is taking his breakup, when Kody looks at how he sees himself in his breakup, again, he goes to the whole plight of saying that I want to be the evil person. I want to be the devil. I want to be this and I want to be that. And then he breaks up with Christine, and ultimately he drove Christine away. And in him being upset about his divorce, he is now driving away the people he has left. Because he's so upset about losing one wife, he's now going to lose another wife. And as he's in the process of losing Janelle, this is what he had to say.
I want to grow horns right now so bad. I want to say mean things. I want to be a jackass. It's just like this urge to just, be the ass she said I was. Like, oh, you think I'm an ass? Well, I'll show you an ass.
And see, and part of that is he wants to prove to her that he's the nasty man that she thinks he is. I'm going to prove to her that I'm just as evil as she said I am, blah, blah, blah. So what are the ways in which you plan on hurting Janelle? Because you're not going to hurt her feelings by not necessarily coming around anymore, because she basically said, bump you, hit the bricks, chick. I see you later, Coach X. And then kicked him up out of the apartment. Right? And then she packed his stuff up. So you're not going to hurt her feelings by not coming around. So what are the ways that Kody is trying to prove to her that he can be a jerk, that he can be the type of man that she thinks he is? The ways that he's going to try to do this, and this is my prediction from where we are so far in the season, and this I base this off of what I've seen from him thus far. What I think he's going to do is he's going to take it out on Savannah, because that will hurt Janelle. For him to go in and start messing around with her kids, that will hurt her. For him to try to block her out of property or take money from her or try to leave her isolated and desolate as far as her income and her finances, that too will hurt Janelle. To be honest with you, I played it in my last video when I was talking about Janelle crying about being 50 years old and not having anything to her name. That was the first time, if you really think about it, and like I said, I did the retrospective where I hammered up through a lot of these episodes. That was the first time that I saw Janelle actually break down Janelle is not one to get on the screen and show a whole bunch of emotions. In fact, I would say, to be honest with you, if I'm going to critique anybody's acting or screen presence, I would have to say that right off the rip, Janelle did more crying in that one episode than I've ever seen Robin actually do. Robin does the, oh, I'm so upset, oh, and look up in the sky stuff. Or she bury her face and she'll tell you that she's crying. I'm crying. You don't have to tell people you're crying. I'm so mad. That's just bad acting, right? Janelle didn't do that. She let you know how bad this hurt her. And that in and of itself is a tremendous heartbreak. And as we talk about how Kody is appearing on screen and his willingness to be the evil person that he always thought he was and all that and other, when push comes down to shove, if you look at the production side of this show, Kody is trying to present himself in a different way, like he's been slighted. And I understand why he's so frustrated, because to be honest with you, Kody is sitting in the long end of a short pier. Just because he's recognizing the fact that I think that it's coming to a close for him. Without the other sister wives, Mary, Janelle, Christine, he doesn't have a show. And I'm going to be completely blunt and honest here. For the segments involving Kody and his Christmas over at Robin's house and the time he spent over there, that was terrible TV. It was terrible. Watching him talk about the crepes, oh, this is the bee's knees, I love my crepes. That was a horrible section. That was a horrible part of the show. The Christmas presents, sitting there watching them interact with the kids, it was so unnatural. It was so wooden. It was so stale. It was horrible television. Horrible television. And as I watched the converse side of it, you watch Christine and you watch the Janelle and her kids and all of them get together. Just a simple thing of them going out, having a snowball fight with Hunter and Peyton and Truly, the other boys, you know what I mean? And Savannah's there and they're all laughing and having a good time. That wasn't like the best reality show, confrontation scene, but that was the scene that I think added context to this family dynamic. And it adds context and layers to Christine's characters as well as the kid's character on the show. When Christine took the phone call from Garrison and was helping him with the roles, and then she was also helping Janelle with the roles too. But it was the moment she was helping Garrison with the roles, and she was like, "Oh no, he reached out to me, and I realized at that moment that I'm still his mom, and I'm still one of his moms, and nothing is going to sever or break our relationship." That was a touching moment. Conversely, I think it was in that same episode, Kody took Robin's daughter to go get her ears pierced. Dry TV. Kody and Robin have been hiding behind these women the entire series of this show. They have literally been hiding behind these women. They've been using them for the storyline because there's very little about Kody and Robin's relationship for real, especially after season, about season 9 or 10. After Robin has been getting like 10 years of like, we don't like Robin. Oh my God, she's a home wrecker. She's terrible. Look at them eyebrows. They look like commas fighting on the face. What is going on with them eyebrows? Look like some kind of hate crime happening on the grill. Kody, I don't know what's going on with him. Look like stale cheese. Like the rat who ate stale cheese. Like, you know what I mean? There was just so much going on between the two of them that they started to pull back away from themselves and started pulling back away from the storyline. And because they did that, you don't have a whole lot of story to tell about them. So the one thing that you get from Kody right now is the fact that he's so bitter and nasty. But once he's so bitter and so nasty, that only goes so far, because after a while, people are going to get tired of watching him be bitter and nasty to what is now the true heroes of the show, which turns out to be Christine, Janelle, and co-starring Mary. And because nobody wants to see them get mistreated, sooner or later, they're going to be asked to leave the show. And that's going to get tight. And then soon after, Kody's going to get divorced again. So you have that. And that becomes a big part of it. And as we start talking about like Kody and his exploration of who he is and what he's about, there was one point where you see like a residual effect of what's called a red pill or the manosphere that enters into Cody's dialect or his talking points as he's talking about the men and women relationships, the husband-wife relationships, and his position on the show. Let's take a listen to what he has to say here.
You know, how society's been for, eons of time, that any strong man would have more than one woman, whether they were married or not, whatever. And there's something about us in plural marriage for men that really struggle to acknowledge that difficulty that a woman has in plural marriage.
And again, this is kind of a red pill manosphere talking point where men have had polyamorous relationships since the beginning of time, whether it's polygamy or whatever the case may be. They've had a whole harem of women, and usually it's the strong, most dominant men, alpha males, who have these multiple of women and multitude of women, and that's how they used to conduct themselves. This is a historical fallacy. This is a stupido. This is a dummy-do. When you make the argument that you should be allowed to have multiple wives, or you should be able to cheat on your girlfriend, or you should be able to cheat on your wife, or whatever the case may be, because in history, men have, especially leaders and alpha males, have had multiple baby mamas or wives, concubines, etc., etc. You're ignoring the fact that in most of those situations, those people were being conquered by those quote-unquote alpha males, or strong men, as Kody puts them. And when they were conquered, those women weren't sitting around waiting for the guy to come home because they loved him so much and they were waiting to spend time with him. That's a damn lie. In fact, they didn't choose to be with him. They were with him because the guys from their place or their part of town or their country or whatever the case may be lost. That's why they were there. They weren't there out of choice. It wasn't they were drawn to these great, strong men and these men were going to share their resources and provide for them. And it's been downloaded in women's anatomy and DNA since the beginning of time to try to service men and this, that, and that's all crap. It's all, I don't want to cuss too much, but it's not true. It's not true. And then I also like the idea that as Kody pumps himself up, at the same time, he has the need to pull the ladies in his life down. Oh, strong men had multiple women, but women, they had to suffer too. Because they wanted to spend so much time with they mans, they man folks. Let's take a listen to what Kody's had to say right after that whole little diatribe of, men are so wonderful that they deserve to have multiple women.
There's this term of sacred loneliness because their husband's not around as much.
There's a term called sacred loneliness. That's dressing up dumb shit. That's what that is. I'm sorry, I tried not to cuss, but I had to. That's stupid. That's Al Stupido too. Oh yeah, because it's great for women to want to be alone. They like being by themselves. They enjoy it. And this is why you're losing wives like hotcakes. Every time you turn around, one of them flipping out the door. You just losing wives. Why? Because you think that it's some kind of special thing. It's a superpower for you to abandon your wife. It's a good thing. She likes that. I don't know what to tell you, man. If you think women are sitting around trying to figure out how they can enjoy their loneliness and their by themselves time, because this isn't a situation where they get to be by themselves. No. What this is Kody gets to come over to the house, spend a little time, hang out with the kids, get them all riled up, not have to deal with any problems, any issues or concerns. And then once he gets his fill, he gets to leave the house and go to somebody else's house so he can continue his vacation. Meanwhile, these ladies are responsible for their kids, their households. They're responsible to make sure that they get their work done or whatever that may be so that they can pay for all the shortfalls that Kody is leaving behind. The bills that he's not paying, if your kids need sneakers or God forbid, they have an appendectomy, emergency appendectomy, Madison, they have back issues, Isabel, then you get to figure out how you're going to pay those things by yourself. And then while you're doing that, I'm sure you're going to pray about it because you're going to be short on money. When people short on money, they're not sure how they're going to pay their bills. Oftentimes they refer to prayer. So it's a good thing, right? That's stupid. This is why you find yourself in a situation where you are at the point of feeling tempted and being a bad guy and breaking up with your wives because you've abandoned them and they've realized that they can do it by themselves. There's also a point where I like to get the ladies' perspective because it's easy for me to sit here and say this, but I'm kind of curious. What does Christine, Mary, and Janelle have to say? Let's listen.
Sacred loneliness?
I've never heard this term, sacred loneliness. I think it's stupid.
I've always thought it was so dumb.
Let's take a break for excuses, starring Robin Brown.
In my head, it's an opportunity for you to get a relationship with God.
And Robin, that's exactly why nobody's going to feel bad for you when Kody do you the same way he did the OG3. That right there. When you sit there, you want to make excuses. Every time he does something wrong to one of these ladies, you want us to sit here and excuse that bad behavior. You want us to overlook it, pretend like it didn't happen. You want us to forget and forgive Kody and call Kody a good guy. But then, when you're ready to leave him because he gets booted off of TLC and them checks stop, or the OG3 not only stop sending money in, but they figure out how to get some of their money back, and you're going to have to start coming up off of stuff, then all of a sudden when you're ready to get that divorce, oh, Kody was the most horrible person. You don't know what I went through. Nobody believes me. They kept giving him the benefit of the doubt. You mean the same benefit of the doubt that you keep arguing for us to give him? I want you to keep that same damn energy when he does the same thing to you. I want you to keep that same energy. Because I'm going to tell you now, I'm going to be the one who going to keep showing up with them receipts to call you out on the stuff that you're saying now. Because if you are going to stand by and let him mistreat, mishandle, and walk all over these ladies after they've done everything that they possibly could for him, and you're going to stand by and allow this to happen, then you are in a situation where when it happens to you, don't come crying to me. Don't be looking for me to shoot videos and talk about what a terrible person he is and how you so innocent and how you misunderstood. No, ma'am. I'm going to tell you to go over there and sit with your damn friend, is what I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you to go over there and sit with your friend. That's the guy you want to ride with, you go sit with him. You think that he's a good dude? You think that everything he's doing is okay when he leaves these women and abandons them and leaves them desolate? Then when he does it to you, I want you to sit there and have that same energy and talk about with a big smile on your face and talk about you guys just don't understand. He's a good man. He's a really good man. He just misunderstood. That also goes to the point of, how are these ladies being treated? How are these ladies being viewed? When you look at how Kody is suffering, and everything is about how Kody is taking this and how Kody has such a rough time and how everything is on Kody's back and on Kody's shoulders and how Kody is suffering so much, but very little time is spent with him reflecting on how his actions may have affected these ladies. What drove Christine, a woman who has been dedicated to you and your good time, to your family, who's been babysitting your children since you had kids, has put herself and her time in the family on hold, on pause financially so that she could take care and mother your children? Because these all weren't her kids. You question why she has such a close relationship with Janelle's kids. She has a close relationship with Janelle's kids because she mothered those kids. Now, when I sit here and say, and I will say this, when I sit here and incorrectly say that those are Janelle's kids, when she sat there, meaning Christine, sat there and she mothered those children, she was mothering Janelle and Kody's kids. Those are Kody's kids that she was taking time out to mother. You know how odd it is and how hard it would be for a woman to put her heart aside. And this is one of the things that Kody took great pains and great pleasure in criticizing Christine about how she didn't open her heart up to these other women, and how she never dealt with these other women. You know how hard it is? And this is a man speaking to another man. Bruh, you know how hard it is for a woman to take care of another woman's kids that she had with her husband? Do you fathom how crazy that is? That Christine is willing to take on another woman's children whom her husband had fathered. And not only does she take them on, but she mothers them. She considers them her kids. She looks out for them the way she does. That's insane. And the fact that you would criticize her and say that she's not doing enough, my man, you have no idea. You don't even go see your own kids, much less take care of somebody else's. Well, I'm sorry, you do take care of somebody else's, Robin's exes. But other than that, you don't even do your own kids. So what are we talking about? Now, one of the things that really bothered me was when they started talking about the women. It wasn't a thing of, Kody, you need to consider their feelings, their hearts, what was going on with them. This is what Kody's friend had to say about the women in Kody's life and what the things that they might have contributed to the relationship.
The principle and flow of marriage, it is about a woman's right to choose who her husband gets to be and who gets to be the father of her children. If he happens to be married, yeah, so what? She still gets to choose. On the flip side of that coin, though, they have the freedom to leave
as well.
Yeah.
It cracks me up because they sit there like they surprised. I can't believe it. She could choose to have the freedom to be able to choose who she gonna marry, who she gonna have kids with, and then on the same token, on that same foot, she gets to choose if she wants to stay or go. Yeah, that would be freedom. You're singing a song, but you don't understand the words. Yes, she can choose to be a part of a family. Yes, she can choose to have children with a man who has another family. Yes, she can choose to dedicate her life to that family. But at the same time, she still has the knowledge, capacity, and ability to be able to decide that this is something that she doesn't want. And what I have an issue with is that all of a sudden, you're deciding for her what decisions she can and can't make. You're trying to give her the thing where you're saying, well, you can decide this because I think that that's okay because it benefits me if you decide to be with me and have my kids. But if you decide to leave and I'm not ready for you to go, then you can't go anywhere because that shouldn't be one of your rights. And you should not have the freedom to be able to choose that. Next up, we're going to talk about like the right to choose. Okay, so this is how the family formed. How did the family come together? Let's listen to Kody and his description about how he thinks the family came together.
I courted Mary and I courted Robin, but Christine and
Okay.
Janelle both asked if they could be in the family.
Oh, Lord.
And with that ask, I had some special requirements that I wanted them to meet in order to come into the family. You've got to be committed to me.
Now, clearly, I hard cut that because TLC don't like me doing too much with their clips. But the whole point is that he's trying to make the argument that, well, Christine and Janelle, the two women who happen to want to leave me, they begged to get into the family. This is a continuation of that pick me crap that he tried during the tell-all, where he was saying that because they begged to get into the family, how dare they decide to leave, especially after I decided to make concessions so that they could actually join the family. I'm the one who made the choice to allow them to join the family against my own will, my own best interest, and my own desires. I took pity on these lonely whelps of souls, and I decided to let them into my family. This dude act like he's damn Daddy Warbucks. Like he's sitting there on top of billions and billions of dollars. This dude is Jeff Bezos. He's a polygamist Elon Musk, sitting here with billions of dollars, and these women are just kind of groupies deciding that they want to join Kody's family because he's the hippest, coolest guy in the church. Come on, man. Come on. They could have made other decisions. They could have made other choices. And the fact of the matter is that when it push comes down to shove, they chose to spend their time with you. Now, whether they asked you or who asked who is irrelevant. And I agree with what Janelle had to say. It doesn't matter who asked who. He's trying to act as though because we came to him and spoke to him about joining a family, which is what is apparently is part of their culture. And even they've said that on the television show when they're sitting on the couch. They've said, Kody, Robin, and the other wives have all said that it would be inappropriate for Kody to be out there looking for women and trying to talk to women. The way it's supposed to go is women are supposed to approach the other wives and ask them about joining the family. He's trying to make it seem as though these women begged their way into the family. Now all of a sudden they change their mind and they're horrible people because they changed their mind. The reality of it is that regardless of who asked who, you both decided to make a commitment to one another. And that would be the first run. So as husband and wife, you commit to one another. As part of a polygamous family, you commit to the larger family through that union of the husband and wife. That's just the basic spoke attitude of how this relationship is formed. So when you make that commitment she makes that commitment to you, you also make a commitment to her. And Kody, in this case, these women felt as though you did not honor your commitment, so they made a decision to leave the family. That's what it is. Now, as we sit here and talk about like, oh, they made their choice, they decided not to be part of the family, of course there comes a point where Kody had expressed in season 16 or 17, in season 17, when he was yelling at Christine on the porch, and he gave his whole speech, which we'll watch in a few moments. Not to trigger anybody, but I want to make a connection. You'll see the connection after I play the video. But when he was on the porch and he was making the argument that he had to make all these sacrifices, he brought her in and all these struggles that he had made. Part of the struggle is the idea that these women aren't worthy. They were never worthy to be in the family. And because they weren't worthy to be in the family, he had to make sacrifices in order to allot them the opportunity to join the family. Now, my bigger question would be, if these women were never worthy to be in the family, why the hell did you let them in the family? If somebody doesn't qualify for a certain position, then if you hire them as the boss, then it's your fault that they failed, because they never met the qualifications in order to fulfill the task that would be required of them to be able to hold that position. So if you brought them in the family and you realized up front that they were never worthy to be in the family, then Kody, that's your fault. And you can't be mad at them if they decide that, hey, you know what? This ain't for me, and I'm going to do what he should have always done, which is get my ass up out of this family because I have no place here. That's on you. So let's take a listen to what Kody had to say so we can refresh our memories. And I want to make a connection on the end of this. So stick around for it.
Man, just the knife in the kidneys over all these years.
Boo-hoo.
And the sacrifices that I made to love you.
Wasted.
Wasted.
The sacrifices I made. You're not worthy. You're not deserving. I did everything I could. And despite the fact that you weren't worthy for my love, I loved you anyway. And I poured into you and I gave to you and I wanted you to have, but you didn't deserve the things that I was giving you. Now, in that situation, why would she stick around? If this is how you have been talking to her, these are the feelings that you've been expressing to her, why the hell would she stick around? And I wasn't going to say hell. I was going to use one of my choice 4-letter F words. But why the hell would she stick around? Why would she stay in a situation where you're constantly trying to do this to her? And this is what I was going to say about even in Janelle's situation. When he's sitting there talking about, oh, the devil and the horns, and I'll be sitting there pining on whether I should be good or evil. What he's deciding on how can I torture this person? What are the nasty things that I can do to make their life a living hell? Because I'm the devil, apparently, and I'm going to make where the devil live in hell. And that's where you're trying to drag him to. Right? So he's sitting there talking about how he's going to drag him to hell. Now, as he was giving this whole little big speech on the porch, I couldn't help but think of this classic film. It's classic to me. This classic film. There's actually a stage play adaptation from a play called Fences, starring Denzel Washington and Viola Davis. Both of them class act actors, world-class actors. Viola Davis, master of her craft. And when she gave this performance, every time I watch this performance, it touches my soul. And it reminds me of the importance of commitment and you being committed to your partner and not just your partner being committed to you. Because so much of what I listen to on Sister Wives is Kody complaining about how these women aren't committed enough to him. But I rarely see a situation where I see Kody's commitment to these ladies. These ladies are giving everything they have and they're pouring it into Kody nonstop. They're pouring into him. And his response is, you can tell I care about you because I keep coming home. That's the bare minimum. That's not you showing this above average care and concern for anybody. So let's take a listen and hopefully I can play this because I don't know, might get copyright struck and then I have to take it out. But hopefully it works. But ladies and gentlemen, Fences. And I recommend that anybody who has not seen this movie, go check it out. It is really good.
It's not easy for me to admit that I've been standing in the same place for 18 years.
Well, I've been standing with you. I've been right here with you, Troy.
Damn right.
I got a life, too. I gave 18 years of my life to stand in the same spot as you.
Right? Like I said, powerful stuff. Right there, what Troy would just reveal for those who maybe need some recollection, and I'm going to give you this little spoiler, not to ruin the film or the play, but it's been out for years. You should go see it anyway. Troy just revealed that he's going to step out, and he's been seeing another woman, and this woman makes him laugh, and he sits on her couch, and she makes him feel good, and he's just been wasting his time standing in this spot with her, and he just, feels like he hasn't been moving forward. And Viola Davis, August Wilson, he's the person who wrote this, nails it perfectly. Because one of the things that oftentimes goes missed, when we sit here and talk about how much Kody gave, how much Christine gave, they gave to each other. And as a man, a lot of times, and I'm going to sing their praises a little bit, this ain't me simping, this is just me giving my perspective. As a man, women will pour so much into you. And even when you're married to them and you ask them and you're taking them for granted, they're pouring into you constantly. And they're pouring that love into you. And sooner or later, you're sitting there saying like, oh, you don't understand how miserable I've been and how things haven't worked out for me. You think that this is the life they planned for themselves? As you're sitting there crying and complaining about being in that 1-2 bedroom apartment in that tenement building, right? They're laying next to you in that place. Do you think when they were little girls, they were like, oh, one day I want to grow up and be dirt poor and struggle, have 2 jobs and a bunch of kids I can't afford? Do you think that's what they were wanting? Do you think that they were sitting there saying to themselves, I want to be in a situation where I look at this man who's supposed to be leading the family and he's not doing anything to move me forward, and he's at a point now where he's not even paying attention to me, and the only thing I have to hold on to are these kids, but I'm going to hold on because this is my man, this is my husband, and this is what I'm supposed to do? That's what I hear when I hear Christine talking. That's what I hear when I hear Janelle and Mary talking. I hear these women talking about how they gave up so much to try to make Kody happy. And Kody has been spending his entire time, and dare I say his entire life, trying to avoid the reality that he is who he is. There's a saying that, no matter how far, fast, or wide you run, you will be there when you get there. You can never run from yourself. And that's one of the things that I hear from Kody. When these ladies talk about they moved around as much as they did, like 19, 20 times in some cases, 20 plus times for Mary because she's had to jump from rental to rental. And even Janelle, she's jumped from like at least 4 locations since she's been in Arizona. She had the 2 rentals, she had the trailer on Coyote Pass, and then now she has the apartment. That's 4 different locations by herself. And they moved at least 19 times prior to that. So Janelle is racking up 23 moves since her and Kody have been together. And they've been spending so much time moving because Kody constantly says, oh, I get the itch and I got to get moving. And I think that ultimately what it is Kody is running from himself. Kody can't stand who he is. And because he runs from himself, he's dragging these women right behind him. And when these women start to question whether this is the right thing to do and whether this is appropriate for them, and more importantly, it's not just them. They also have to take a look at their kids, because these are the people that they're responsible for. And then at least one person has to take responsibility, because it doesn't seem like he's willing to do it. So they have to stand up for their kids and say, look, we can't keep running away. We can't keep running around town. Every time we get settled and we put our feet down, I put my cup down on the kitchen table, you want to get right back up and go to the next room. And we have to settle down. That's one of the things that that's the only time really that I heard Robin threaten to leave him, was when he had talked about moving again, and she said, well, he's going to have to move by himself. That was back in season 13 when they first started talking about going to Arizona. She was dead ass about staying in Arizona and not moving anymore. So you have that. And one of the things that really bothered me, like I said, and it touches me every time I hear it, is the idea that, Troy, in that sense, Fences, when Troy was talking about, I've been standing here and I've been suffering, he's so focused on his suffering and the things that he's given up and the sacrifices, all the sacrifices I made and the things that he's given up, the things he's going without. He's so focused on that he doesn't recognize that his wife was right there suffering with him. He doesn't recognize that she too has her own thoughts, hopes, dreams, imagination. She wanted better for her life. He doesn't recognize that the same way that he went out and he found somebody else to go lay down with and cheat on with and laugh on her couch and kick his boots up on her table, his wife could have did the same thing. And she was tempted to do the same thing. I think that's why, ultimately, Mary's catfish bothers him so much. Because he realizes that she could have very well went out and found somebody who could have made her happy. And since that happened, he's been spending every day, at least every episode and every season since that time, both he and Robin, punishing Mary for deciding to step outside the family and look for something better for herself. And the sad part is like I said, that's Robin sitting there right along with him, trying to punish Mary, to put her in tow, bring her to heel, for trying to find something better than where she is and show her that this is where she needs to be and ain't nothing better out there. So she gonna keep on punishing her and keep kicking her. And again, like I said, when it turns around and it falls back on you, Robin, I want you to remember what you said and what you did. And I want you to own it. Now, when we look at this, again, we have to look at, from Kody's perspective, he sees everything as the guy's suffering. This is how I suffer. This is how this has affected me. Again, like Troy in Fences, this is how this has affected me. And this is one of the things that was kind of trippy to me. Let's take a listen.
What is overlooked is that it can be difficult for the guy, too. I mean, it's a real work. Each wife wanted me to be 100% there. And it was exhausting. And they got a break every other day.
If they all agreed that they were going to do this, maybe they had more faith in me. If I was just tired of hearing about the struggle.
And again, this turns into another, I can't believe they were so upset that they were by themselves. I can't believe they were so upset that they're complaining that their needs aren't getting met. What about me? What about me? Every time I show up to their house, they expect me to spend 100% of my time over there, 100% of my attention. They expect me to be present. They expect me to be involved. They expect me to do things. They don't take me into account. They don't feel sorry for me. In the same way, Kody and this guy would sit there and say to these ladies when they complain, well, this is something you chose to do. This is a decision you made. Welcome to consequences. Now you have to be accountable to the decisions that you made. I look at them because I know he gonna say, since you was sitting in my shoes. This is something you chose to do. I chose to do something different. This is why I'm not sitting in a truck driving around town complaining about my 3 wives who want to leave me. This is why I'm not sitting in a car crying and singing the blues after I rolled the bones and I lost. And of course, I'm not going to sit here and insult him, but Mary's brother-in-law, he was sitting amongst Kody's brother and Kody's friend, business partner, when they were talking on episode 3 about the wives. This is one of the things that he had to say.
Polygamy, literally, it could be a gift where it dilutes personality. But if I'm married to this woman and she's really cantankerous or I don't enjoy her, but I can't leave, It'd be nice to have another wife because then I can get away from her for a little bit. Or it'd be nice if I'm the one that's cantankerous. She's thinking, it'd be nice if you had another wife so I could get a break from you.
And this is where a lot of his problems start and finish. The idea that you have multiple wives so that you can get a break, so that you can evade issues and evade problems. This is why your relationships fell apart. Because as you develop problems and issues with one wife, say you have a problem in an argument with Mary, then you go over to Janelle's house to avoid the problems you have with Mary, then you go over to Christine's house so you can continue your vacation, and you go over to Robin's house where you get complete relaxation because you're her number one customer, then by the time you get back to Mary, what do you think has happened? Your problems haven't disappeared. She didn't sit there by herself and work it out with herself when she has a problem with you. She needs your input. She needs your contribution so that you guys can sit down and work those problems out together. And when you don't sit down and work those problems out together, what happens? They manifest, they multiply, then all of a sudden, by the time you get back to Mary, that problem is bigger than it ever was when you left in the first place. And it was way bigger than you ever thought it was going to be. Then you expect her to keep quiet and, make your time at her house pleasant so you can continue on with your situation in your life. Again, everything built here is about your comfort and your desires. It's about you and what you want. Kody has a way of talking about how these women have to understand that plural marriage is a higher calling, but it sounds like it's a higher sense of servitude, where you have to figure out how you can service my needs, my wants, and my desires. You answer your own, but you're here basically first and foremost to service mine. And if you can make yourself happy while you're doing that, great. If you can't, too bad, so sad. Then you can have the sacred loneliness and the sacred suffering all to yourself. There's also a point where we talk about Robin and how she's taken things because he's already pushed Janelle away. He's already pushed Christine away. He's already pushed Mary away, and he's been done that. And one of the things that I've never heard any of them talk about is they talk about how much they suffered during the separation and how much divorce is wrought on him. Is anybody taking Mary into consideration? He basically did the same thing to Mary, except for he expects her to be around. And when he not only expects Mary to stick around, but he fully expects her to have a smile on her face when she does. If he goes over there and she has attitude, she's depressed, she's upset, she's angry about something, then he's going to tell her she's being toxic and he's going to leave. And then he's going to punish her with his absence. But now that he's driven all these individuals away, now he has to deal with Robin. Now, what happens when he deals with Robin? When he deals with Robin, now all of a sudden Robin is going to sit there and complain. Let's listen to Robin complain, y'all.
We've never had as many problems as we're having right now in our marriage. He's suspicious of anybody being disloyal to him. He's directing that at me. It's like I don't recognize him. I don't really recognize him right now, and I've never seen him like this before.
It's hilarious. I've never seen him like this before. I don't know where this came from. This is what the other wives were saying. You just have him all the time. And more to the point, I've always said that Robin prefers the idea that she can be the best wife. And in order for her to be the best wife, you have to have something to compare it to. So when you have the other three, the OG three there, what she relies on is that Kody's going to go over, sit at Mary's house, get annoyed, go to Christine's house, get annoyed, go to Janelle's house, get even more annoyed, then come back to Robin and she gets to pretend like, I don't know what's wrong with those women. Whew, there's something wrong with them. While she had 3 nights to try to recharge her batteries and get herself back on track, dealing with Kody for that one night. Then she sends Kody off, and then they run the cycle again. The problem that she has now is that Kody is seeing her for who she is. So as he's sitting there questioning her and her loyalties, you keep ordering all this stuff, girl. Why Amazon man keep coming by? That's ridiculous. And all that kind of thing. Now she's starting to see him for who he is. His mask is slipping. And that's what I have on the thumbnail. When he puts on the happy face and the happy-go-lucky guy, that mask is slipping, and she's starting to see the mean, nasty Kody that the other 3 wives is too familiar with. And she doesn't like it. And the other part of it is because he's now focused 100% on you, and he's not taking your problems that you have with him to another house to deal with those problems and beat up on those ladies emotionally and spiritually and mentally. Instead, he's reflecting that anger and that frustration back on the Robin, and she doesn't like it. Again, this is what I'm telling y'all. Trust me when I say that the walls of Jericho are coming down. She is starting to get frustrated, and she's going to start pushing back on Kody. And before long, when she says that she's getting a divorce or you find out they're separated, I guarantee you this will be one of the things that she cites. That he's a different person. He's so mean, so angry, and so nasty. She didn't see it coming. She had no idea. This is what's going to happen. Now, like I said earlier, when Kody deals with things, because he's essentially, Kody is very immature in a lot of ways. And it's not just with the boyish Peter Pan type act that he puts on, but it's immature in the sense that he doesn't stand up and face his responsibilities. And because he doesn't stand up and face those responsibilities, it's oh too easy for him to be depressed and pulled out into that sense of depression, and then eventually for him to run away. Let's take a listen to what he says as far as his feelings and his emotions and his state of mind when it comes to his separations and his overall life and where he is.
I just have this gut thing. It's like I'd like to run away from my life. You know, just escape, just change my name, disappear, be somebody else. I hate my life right now.
Y'all need to go check on Kody. Straight up, y'all need to go down and check on Kody. Don't let him sit down in the basement too long. Especially, you get all them pew-pews about the house. You know what I mean? When people depressed like that, you have to remove like the convenience of them, hitting that, Control-Alt-Delete on the keyboard. You want to take all the keyboards out the house, if you know what I'm saying. We're going to take them all up out the crib. Now, when push comes down to shove, like I said, I'm not wishing anything bad on him. And I hope that if you are feeling any kind of depression to the point where you want to harm yourself or you have those inclinations, those feelings, or those desires, then it is the time for you to go get help. Talk to somebody who is a professional who can give you the assistance and the encouragement to get through your depression. Sometimes you don't get over being sad. You have to work your way through it. And that's where Kody sounds like he is. And him going off on these trips with this guy, the brother-in-law, his best friend, and sitting around and wallowing in his anger, wallowing in his sadness and his depression is not helpful. Now, for you to recognize why you're depressed and why you're upset and for you to feel your feelings, there's nothing wrong with that. But when you start to lay in it and you want to stay in it, then you have to try to work your way through it. You have to try to work your way out of it. Because ultimately, and I mean this, like, I don't want to see anything bad happen to Kody. Genuinely, I don't. Because whether I like him as a person, whether I respect him as a man or not, at the end of the day, this guy is a father. And he has people in his life who care about him and people in his life who rely on him. Now, he may be in a hard place as far as his kids are concerned at the moment, but that doesn't mean that at some point later on down the line, he can't sit down and have a breakthrough conversation after he does some introspection, maybe get some help, talk to some folks where he can have a true relationship with his children. And I hope that he takes the opportunity to take advantage of the position he's in where he goes and actually gets help. It seems like the only time they talk about counseling is when they get group counseling. Sometimes the counseling you need is to work on yourself before you want to sit in a group and try to do couples counseling or group counseling with somebody else. You have to figure out where you are. And I would strongly recommend that for him. And the idea that he wants to run away. And again, this harkens back to him always moving and getting a couple year itch because you don't feel comfortable where you are because you start to feel like people are going to see you for who you are. And truth is that if you don't like yourself, then you're always going to be afraid of people seeing you for who you are. And I hate to say this, as arrogant and egotistical as Kody comes off, I think ultimately part of the reason why he brags and he shows out the way he does is because he doesn't like himself. He genuinely does not like himself. he may feel confident in some regards. He may be willing to show off and showcase. But a lot of times when people seek a lot of attention and more or less approval from other people, is because they don't necessarily approve of themselves. And they want somebody else to greenlight them and tell them that they're okay and reassure them that they're okay. Now, one of the things that, kind of goes hand in hand with the whole idea of him running away is when he said this to his friend.
I got two of my littlest, my two youngest, are still loving me back. And I'm thinking, what a stupid thought to want to run from this when the only thing that loves me still, I'd be abandoning,
Yep.
Now, again, he said the only thing that loves me still, I would be abandoning. That excludes Robin. Did you notice? He just excluded Robin. The only thing that that cares about me or loves me, the only reason why I want to stay in this situation and not change my name and run away are these two little kids, Saul and Ari. He's discounted Robin's three oldest kids, and he's discounted their mother, Robin, his wife, Robin. So I think that that's interesting in and of itself, because clearly they're having problems and frustrations in the house. He doesn't know how to handle himself, because I don't think Kody's ever had the opportunity or even the need to face who he is. So he's never had to work through his own problems. He never had to work through his own shit. And because he never had to work through his own problems and his own issues, because he could always run from it by running to a different wife, running to a different person's house, and then reframing and manipulating the story so that it sounds like he's somehow the victim of another wife, or this person is treating him so bad and this person is wrong and these women want to make him happy so that he enjoys his time at their house, so they're willing to allow him to change and alter the story to suit his narrative that he's somehow the victim and these people are mistreating him. Because they're willing to do that, he never had to grow. And this is part of the reason why I say that Robin is not good for him. Because if she's sitting there and she refuses to call him out on his crap, she refuses to put it on him and say, look, this is stuff you have to work out for yourself. You have to make yourself better. You have to be stronger. You have to be the man that these people need, whether it's your wives or your kids, the ladies in your life or your children. You have to step up and be that person. You have to do better. And because he's never heard that, then he's going to constantly find himself on the run. He's going to constantly find himself in a situation where he's trying to evade and get away from the things that he's doing. Now, my big recommendation for people who are watching this video and want to get my thoughts on it, just in general, what I think is that if you are encountering somebody who is running away, refuses to grow, refuses to answer for anything that they do, refuses to be accountable, but they always want to talk about accountability, then you have to look at that situation and decide whether this is a situation I want to be in. Don't make excuses for them. Don't allow them to hide away, because in some instances you feel like you're protecting them, but in a lot of cases you're doing more harm than good, because you're not calling them out on their stuff. One of the things that makes, what they say, behind every great man is a great woman. You know why that great man has that great woman behind her? What makes her great? What makes her great is the fact that she won't let him slack. She won't let him fall down. When he decides that he feels like he can't do it, she's the one that pick up the weight and help carry him across the finish line. That's what makes a strong partner. It's not even so much that she's behind him pushing him along. It's just that iron sharpens iron. And if you have somebody in your life who's going to keep you on point and keep you focused and keep you driving forward, and when you feel like you want to quit and you feel like you want to give up, then you might need that partner who's going to be in your life to say, no, don't do this. This isn't what you want. You didn't come this far to give up. Pain is temporary, but quitting is forever. So keep moving forward, keep pushing forward, keep getting up. If you can look up, you can get up. That's what you need in your corner. When he sits there and wants to be depressed, he needs somebody to say, look, you need to snap the hell out of it. You have these kids who are relying on it. You have me. I'm here for you, and I'm willing to work with you and get you through this, but you have to stop feeling sorry for yourself. That's the one thing I've never heard Robin say to him. Stop feeling sorry for yourself. Almost got me on another cuss word. See, Kody, you gonna get me in trouble. Stop feeling sorry for yourself. Stop feeling bad that you failed. You're going to fail a lot in life. And that's one of the things that I tell my kids all the time. Don't be afraid to try stuff because you're afraid of failure. Failure is a part of life. Failure is the best lesson. When you can win 100 times, but you'll remember the one time you failed. And whatever you did to fail, you're going to try not to do again. Failure is a very strong and a powerful tool and a powerful lesson for you when you're trying to achieve stuff. But if you're afraid to try, you're afraid to put your heart out there, you're afraid to reinvest your heart, and you're afraid to be who you are, then you will never experience love. You can't experience love unless you allow people to love you and allow yourself to love them back. You can't experience trust or respect unless you truly trust somebody and you truly respect other people. They can't respect you if you don't respect them. They can't trust you if you don't trust them. I don't trust anybody. If somebody come up to me and say, James, tell me all your secrets, and I say, okay, I'll tell you my secrets if you tell me yours, and they say, nah, I don't share my secrets, then I'm damn sure not sharing my secrets. And if you say to me that you're going to love me and take care of me, and you want me to love you and be 100% committed to you, and then I say you're going to be committed to me and you're going to love me, and you can look me in the face and say no, then yeah, we don't have nothing to talk about. That's my take. I'm James. This has been my take on reality, and I'm out. 'Cause I've been living life.